On this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, Kyle is joined by our good friend Chris of First Grade Fight Club, Chicken and Waffles. You can find him on all the social medias. He is a music fanatic. He is someone who we talk to often about different genres, about history, about different genres and things like that. And so Kyle invited him on to talk about the goats of different genres. And I'm thinking Kyle's pretty happy I wasn't there. I would have given him a lot of crap for some of his takes. But this was a fun episode. I enjoyed going through and listening to it. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. I think that there's going to be a lot of opinions about how wrong they are, and everyone's opinions are valid. But jump in and let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. I'm Kyle, and you're not Trevor.
Not today. Not this time.
Not today. I guess it depends. When you're filling out credit card applications.
Then I'm Trevor.
you might be-
Absolutely. Then I'm Trevor the house down. Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah.
but not today.
All right. Well, we were joined with Chris from Chicken and Waffles, Chicken and Vinyl, First Grade Fight Club, our good friend. So
Y'all know it.
Thank-
Y'all know me.
we know Chris. He's been on a few times, so we appreciate it. Trevor is out. I don't know.
He's living. He's breathing.
Sacrificing virgins or something. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Sacrificing virgins. I mean, it is almost Halloween. And so he's
Yeah.
got to do the right thing. He's got to do what's good for him. And I respect
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling that you're a big Halloween guy.
I love Halloween. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. What are you doing for Halloween then? Because this will come out technically after, but it's
It will. Yeah. So nothing actually super crazy this year because a lot of my plans got changed last minute. So I'm just going to hang out with my family. But I have a new song coming out on Halloween. So that's a cool thing.
Oh, nice.
Mhm. So when this premieres, there is a new First Grade Fight Club song. Everyone go listen to it.
Well, we will make sure to share it and help you out. So
Thanks, pal.
you going to dress up or anything?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to dress up as Trevor. Look how crazy that is. And I'm going to go apply for a bunch of credit cards and see how it goes. Yeah.
All right.
How about you? Are you a Halloween guy? You going to dress up?
So I'm not really like a Halloween guy. It's fun because my kids have fun with it.
Of course.
This year I got roped in. We're going to like a Halloween party, and
Okay.
you have to wear a costume, and
Hmm.
I don't know. So I'm gonna dress up. And I'll tell you what it is because this will air after Halloween. So I don't wanna
Okay.
spoil
Yeah.
anything, but I got the like dumbest Jafar
No
costume
way.
because of my goatee and
Your
stuff.
goatee is so
Yeah.
perfect for it, dude.
I know. And
Oh
it's-
my
dude,
gosh.
It's got like the big hat, like the big
Yeah.
like egg-shaped hat with like the red cape, and
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be so my wife is Latina, so she's brown, so like
Yeah.
she's got a Jasmine outfit, so it's like I don't know.
That's so perfect.
It'll be cool. So
Yeah.
I'll post
I love
pictures on
that.
it because
Yes, please do.
I again, like I'm not a Halloween guy. I don't dress up. When I saw this
Yeah.
costume, I was like, absolutely.
That's the one.
100%.
That's the one. I love that. Yeah. That's sick, dude.
So yeah, it'll be fun. We're supposed to get like a bunch of rain and crap, so we'll see if we even
Oh, for real?
can go trick or treating. Yeah, but
Well, we'll see.
so we'll see.
Yeah, man, it got like super cold here, so who knows what's going to happen this Halloween.
Did you get snow then?
Not today, but the mountains
Nice.
did.
Okay,
Yeah,
that sounds terrible.
it is.
I would be happy if I never saw snow again.
Dude, same. Look at that. Look how perfect. Freaking hate
Yeah.
snow. Yeah.
So, well, in typical fashion, any new releases that you've been listening to this week? Or
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff I've been jamming lately. It's not like, I mean, the one isn't really heavy music. The first one is there's an electronic like hyperpop group I love called Machine Girl, and they put out a new album just a few weeks ago that's incredible. It's called MG Ultra, I think.
Okay.
Super weird, glitchy keyboard synths. I love it. It's fantastic. And then there's a metalcore band out of Denver called Writhe in Fear, and they have a new EP that was just nuts. It was so good. They're more like old school style metalcore, trying to sound like 18 Visions meets Converge kind of thing. It's great. They're the bomb and they're homies too. So yeah.
Seems like that sounds kind of coming back a little bit.
It is absolutely. it's great to see. Like, metalcore is such an umbrella term. There's so many styles of it, but that's a style I really love. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
How about you?
Yeah, the only one that I think paid attention to this week was that Enforced EP.
Yeah, dude, Enforced rules.
It slays.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome. Look, I'm getting tired of the EPs. Just drop it.
I know it.
Album.
Yeah.
So,
and
especially a band
Enforced
like
is great. Yeah, seriously. It's like, we need more. Give us as much as you can give us. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about tours? Anything fun you're going to or that you saw drop?
Yes. So Keonashi is coming to Salt Lake City on Saturday with Omerta and Blind Equation. So that'll be super, super sick. And then the week following, I'm going to LA to see the Blood Brothers. So
nice.
Yeah. The When We Were Young Fest got announced, if we're talking like announcements. Sure. But whatever.
Well, yeah,
whatever.
Seriously. The most disappointing about that is it's like, if that's the only way to see Set Your Goals.
I know, seriously.
Like a while, then I'm going to be pissed.
Seriously. What was nuts about this one too is there was hardly any actual like reunions. Most of them were already like actively playing bands. It was like, whatever.
Well, there's like weird band, like Tsunami's playing it.
Yeah, Knocked Loose and Tsunami are on it.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
And Kubla Khan, very strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know of any other like tour announcements yourself. Do you see anything?
Yeah, I saw Killswitch is doing a tour, and they've got Kubla Khan, Fit for a King, and
oh wow,
it was another Texas band. Oh shoot, I'm having a stroke right now. Is Killswitch from Texas? They're not, are they?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird because it was like all Texas bands.
All Texas bands, yeah.
So, yeah. But
that's sick. I also saw that the Sleeping, the Number 12 Looks Like You, and Sky Came Falling are all doing like a triple co-headliner, but there's like 6 shows across the East Coast. So yeah,
I'm getting real tired of like the East Coast just getting stuff.
I love when they're like, hey guys, we're going on tour, world tour, and that means they're going to like Canada and 6 stops on the East Coast. Yeah.
Exactly. It's stupid.
Whatever.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I bet a bunch of stuff will drop here. Usually I feel like you see, well, I don't know. Maybe we got it all. Maybe people are holding out till next year.
For tours and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like there's a lot of tours coming through the fall, so I wonder if people are like not announcing a lot for the next little bit until they can talk about spring tours.
Absolutely.
So,
because no one wants to tour at like Christmas, so yeah.
All right. Well, we've got kind of a fun, interesting episode that is going to get people potentially pretty riled up.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried.
Yeah. We're going to have on here. So, Trevor's off, like I said, sacrificing virgins in honor of Halloween. So I was thinking about what can me and Chris talk about, right? And so one thing that I've always respected you for is that you have this like big palette of music that you like, right? And so like outside of like you and Trevor, I don't really know a lot of other people that like I could really do something like this with, where it would be fun. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take a shot at who we consider to be the greatest of all time for certain genres. So I know there's going to be a bunch of genres we're going to miss. There's obviously certain types of music that like we just don't listen to and don't know. So we're going to take our best educated opinion guess on who we think the GOAT is on some genres.
Yep.
And I can already tell you that I'm going to get some hate messages, but it's all right.
Probably from me. So whatever.
Probably from you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be hearing about this for a while. So
exactly. I'm excited.
Let me start with this.
Okay.
How do you define your GOATs?
Oh, that's a great question. So what mine was, personally, when I was thinking of the GOATs for each one, a big part of it was how true are they to that style? Like when I think of that style, they're either most of their career, all of their career is defining that style. I also thought about like longevity. Like are they the greatest of all time because they also didn't just like play one album and dip, And then kind of the last thing I thought of for a lot of it is also just like, if someone was not familiar with that genre, could I point to this artist and say, this is the best way you'll get a taste for it? So that was my main thing. But what were yours?
Okay. No, pretty similar. And I think your
Okay.
last one is really true. Like I was thinking a lot about that of like, if somebody asked me about the genre, I took it though as like if you know the genre, then this is the band that like you think of, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the pedestal. This is the band that I think encompasses everything that genre is. I also am taking it from a perspective of like bands that kind of put it on the map,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because music genres are really interesting, right? They evolve and
Absolutely.
they grow, and so I think that like there's lines that get blurred, but I also think there's bands that were like, nope, this is the defining band for it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the take that I have on it. And I was talking to my wife a lot about this, and we were kind of comparing it to like basketball, right? Because there's a big discussion around basketball of who the GOAT is, whether it's Michael Jordan, LeBron James. And one thing she brought up, and I wanted to ask you this too, and we'll get into the answers, but how important is like generational differences? Because I'm a huge basketball fan. Michael Jordan will always be the GOAT for me.
Right.
But I wonder if like my son, who's 9, who's grown up into basketball, is going to say LeBron because that's the GOAT that he grew up with. Do you think that's going to sway a lot of these opinions? Or do you think some of these genres, regardless of generation, are going to have a definitive GOAT?
I actually think it's going to be very dependent on the genre. For example, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but like there are certain ones that like have been around a lot longer where I was like, I don't care what that was like when it started. I care about what it was like, like 20, 30 years ago, as opposed to that many. So yeah. I think that's going to be a part of it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see though. We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Yeah. So hold on. Let me get the list pulled up. I should have had this prepared before, but I am not.
That's okay,
very
dude.
Good prepared person. So, all right, we'll start with the softball one, the top of the list that I sent you.
Yeah.
And we'll just start out strong because I think the end is going to be kind of funny, but
yes, it is.
Hardcore. All right. Hardcore. Who's the GOAT for hardcore? And if we need to like maybe explain our definitions of hardcore, because I know that also is like a pretty big, I don't know if that would help. I mean, yeah, but okay. So who do you have as the GOAT of hardcore?
Yeah. When I was thinking of hardcore, especially like same thing, when I can point to this band and say that is hardcore embodied, not even just what they sound like, but what they are, I said Have Heart. Because I think Have Heart like really embodied not only what hardcore started off as for 20 years, but they also embodied what hardcore became. They also are, I think like the most well-liked straight edge band. Like there's a lot of straight edge bands that have some reputation, some don't. But I feel like Have Heart, the music is so just quintessential hardcore. They're so fun. And also just they were a lot of people's gateway band into hardcore.
Yeah.
You had a lot of people all of a sudden try to get into the scene or even like try to mosh or hardcore dance for the first time because of Have Heart. So that was my answer personally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's cool about that is I think it was Justice, the lead for Trapped Under Ice. And somebody asked him, like, do you consider Angel Dust hardcore? And he was like, anything I touch is hardcore. Like, that's what I am. And the reason why I say that, though, is I feel the same way about Have Heart and the vocalist with, like, Fiddlehead.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. Is it's like they do embody hardcore. So that's a really good one. How do you get around only having 2 albums?
I mean, whatever.
Is that enough?
That's enough. Have Heart's good enough to only have 2. Yeah. Because Have Heart, the other issue is with a lot of hardcore bands, a lot of really good ones, is you have stinkers in those discographies where you're like, man, they have this many that are great, this many that suck. But like Have Heart, they don't have bad music at all. Yeah, it's not that much, but none of it's bad.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
Okay.
I kind of went the same route as you.
Okay.
I thought a lot about this because I was like, do I need to go with an old school band?
Yeah.
That like set the stage, right? Because there's a huge history of hardcore.
Of course.
But I didn't. I'm saying Terror.
Dude, Terror was another one of my picks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think that like, I mean, musically, I guess like there's a little bit like of thrash or a little bit of metal influence in it, right?
Yeah.
And people might say like, okay, that's not true to hardcore. But
whatever. I
just think everything that band stands for, the longevity, like you said, the amount of albums that are solid, not just the music and lyrically, but like those dudes, their shows all embody hardcore. Like I was just reading on Reddit about somebody was like, hey, what happened with the fight that broke out in Sacramento at Terror last night? And everybody was like, dude, it's a terror show. So like that's the only answer to it. And so yeah, to me, it's like, that's literally like, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it. Like, that's like the embodiment of hardcore. And even freaking Hayley Williams from Paramore, when there was a fight at her concert, she was like, this isn't a terror show.
Yeah.
You know? So
dude, that's a great answer.
Yeah. I think that musically, like attitude, their shows. I mean, there was a show here in Texas they had last year that like the venue shut it down because people were going like crazy, and Scott Vogel came out and was just like, screw you. Like, you know, I don't know. That to me, just like, I mean, sure, people probably hate that, but like, that's what hardcore is, you know? That's just what it is. So
that is
pretty
so
similar.
Crazy. Yeah, but similar answers. I actually also had Trapped Under Ice under my radar because, I mean, Trapped Under Ice also perfect discography.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like they're not as important. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, I feel like, I think they're known to people that like are very much involved in the hardcore scene.
Absolutely.
I feel like though bands like Have Heart that have Fiddlehead that kind of extend out of it, are a better pick for that, just because it's more, they have made it more accessible because of stuff they've done. And I think Terror has as well, just because of the like reputation that Terror has.
Seriously. Right? Yeah.
So
seriously,
I don't know. Those are both good picks. I don't think the only reason I think we would catch hate on those is because they're not like classic.
They're not Minor Threat. Yeah.
They're not Minor Threat.
They're not Madball. Yeah.
They're not
Bad Brains. Yeah.
Agnostic Front, you know.
But I also feel like this, like, I mean, we can move on from this, but like, I feel like this also would be a generational answer. I feel like younger kids are going to have a different answer than Have Heart and Terror.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
They say Drain or Knock Loose or something. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure the older generation, if there's older generation people listening to us, they're probably like, yeah, these kids are idiots.
Yeah,
the same way that I would act if somebody said Knock Loose.
Exactly.
So, right.
Yeah.
If you guys feel that way, let me know, because I'm interested.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah. All right, next one. Punk.
Okay. You go first on this one. We'll switch off who goes first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I have a really hard time with this one.
Okay.
Because I like, even right now, I thought I had an answer, and I'm like second guessing it.
Yeah.
And you have to think, I'm thinking of what like put punk on the map globally. Yeah. And I might have to say the Misfits.
Okay. Did I just lose you? Are you there? You good?
Yeah, I'm there. Okay, it does this. I don't know. Just ignore it. Yeah. So yeah, I just think that like when you look at like from a global standpoint with punk, I think that they're probably one of the biggest punk bands, and they've influenced a lot of genres. Freaking Twitching Tongues just did Twitch Fits or whatever. You know what I mean? Like AFI covered Misfits. Like,
oh man, how many bands have covered the Misfits?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's a great answer.
I struggle with that one though, because you look back at like some of the older bands, like I don't know, Sex Pistols, and there's just too many options. But I just think from like if you were to explain to someone that never listened to music, like I think they have a better chance of hearing the Misfits than a lot of these other bands. And I think that's important when we're defining that. So
yeah, the Misfits are a great answer. Also, just the Misfits rule.
They do rule.
Yeah, I love the Misfits.
So what do you have?
So I actually went similar route of like old school because I love punk rock. I grew up a punk kid. And say I tried to think also same thing, Impact. So I chose the Ramones because I feel like the Ramones, when punk rock started, it was very, against government and from England and a little bit fast in America. But the Ramones were just like, what if it was just like aggressive and fast and loud? And I feel like that like set punk in such a strong mood to already be like, this is literally what your parents do not want you to listen to just from the start. And it wasn't gross, it wasn't weird, it was just loud and aggressive and fast. And like, I think the Ramones, you know, we talked about this when we started off, of like bands like the Sex Pistols only had like one record, but the Ramones have like 25 albums. Only a few are good, but like the Ramones' impact is, you know, just so insane everywhere. And how many people decided to pick up a guitar because of the Ramones, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a generational thing too. The interesting thing that I have about punk, and like, I'm the same way as you, man. Like, so my first like intro to alternative music was like Pennywise
Yeah.
and Bad Religion and, you know, that kind of punk, old AFI.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them were influenced by these bands that we're talking about.
Okay.
I don't know though, like, and maybe it's just because I haven't paid enough attention to it, where modern punk is.
Yeah,
And so
it's in a weird
outside
place
of,
right
like,
now. Yeah.
outside of maybe people saying like Green Day, if you consider them like true to the definition punk, or maybe the Offspring, I just don't know that there's a generational issue with saying bands like the Ramones, Misfits, Dead Kennedys, you know, bands like that really you could call the GOAT. So I think we're that's probably as close as we.
That's probably
get.
not going to catch any smoke. Yeah.
Probably
I think
not.
we'll be good.
Probably
yeah.
not.
I hope so.
All right. This one I threw in there because I'm a huge fan of this genre. I don't know how you feel about it, but ska.
Ska. Yeah, man. I'm not the biggest ska guy. I have my few that I enjoy, so I'm not like professing to be an expert. But for me, what my knowledge of ska, the ska that I enjoy for the GOAT, I went with Less Than Jake, because I feel like Less Than Jake, the style of ska I enjoy is a little more ska punk, more than just, you know, regular ska. And I feel like Less Than Jake not only does it better than most bands ever have, but also like they were on like, how many Warped Tours did Less Than Jake play? How many people have seen Less Than Jake open for somebody, or they open for Less Than Jake, you know? Yeah. And for me personally, they have a song called Mr. Chevy Celebrity that my older sister would play in 2000 or 2001, somewhere in there, in her Jeep. We would drive around town just blasting that full force. And it's a great, super rebellious, fun little ska song. So I think of them as the GOAT myself, but I'm actually really interested to hear your answer since you love it so much.
I'm going to say the same thing, actually.
Oh, for real?
And I think there's like, I don't know, ska's really interesting because there's,
ska's fascinating.
Like, if you go back to the history of ska, like, it was invented before reggae was.
Yeah.
Like, there's this huge history of ska. There's all these different sounds of ska. And you could go anywhere from like the guys wearing bowling shoes with checkered shirts.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about? To like
Absolutely.
straight up like punk like, you know, punk looking kids with, you know, mohawks and battle vests and stuff, battle jackets or whatever. I think Less Than Jake bridges the gap between all of the sounds of ska. That's what has made them so accessible to people. And that's why I would put them at the GOAT. I think we might, like, if somebody, I don't know how many of our listeners are like
ska guys.
They might be.
You never know.
You probably catch some hate around, like, you know, maybe the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones or something like that. But
like, if you stick to do like Operation Ivy, but they had one record, so
right.
Yeah.
I guess Rancid kind of flirts the line between ska and punk.
I feel like a lot of ska fans would be like Real Big Fish for sure, but I actually was never into Real Big Fish.
I like that one song, Real Big Fish, Sellout, right?
Oh yeah, great song.
But I
was never a huge Real Big Fish guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Less Than Jake still, like, their last album they put out like last year.
I didn't listen to it.
Silver Linings. Yeah, it's good.
Was it good?
Like, yeah, they're still killing it. So
that's so sick.
Yeah. All right.
Dang.
That's just a fun one. But okay, here's another interesting one. Metal.
Oof.
This one could go a lot of different ways. So.
This was my hardest one.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Okay.
Why was it so hard though? Because there's just so many?
I just love metal. I love metal so much, and I feel like there's so many good answers. And no matter what you pick, someone will say, "What are you talking about? It's this band," with metal especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I feel like mine's also going to take explanation. I picked Slipknot because I feel like if I were to look at a metal band of the past 20 years, maybe 25, and say who is the millennial or Gen X Metallica, I'd say Slipknot. Because not only did they get so huge, but like they were the first band to have like double pedal drums on the radio. And they went so much bigger on mainstream radio and TRL and MTV and all that than pretty much all of their counterparts. And the other reason I picked Slipknot is that like I feel like for a lot of people our age, Slipknot was the gateway band where they went from rock music to metal, where it was
Yeah.
like, oh, I like heavier music that's scary. This is what I listen to like to make my parents worry about me. But
Yeah.
like I'm a huge Slipknot fan myself, so that's another bias for that. But yeah, I just feel like Slipknot continues to blow up their legacy and get crazier, and they like can't be stopped. They have their own festival. They're touring all the time themselves. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, but same thing. I feel like that's not a conventional answer.
No, and
Yeah,
to be completely honest, that caught me way off guard.
yeah. Like
So, I don't know.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what your answer is, because this is a
So
toughie.
it is a tough one, and I'm maybe gonna take what people might think is a sellout answer, and I'm gonna say
Here we go.
Metallica.
There you go.
I just, whether you like them or not, like you can't argue what they did for metal, right? They
Absolutely.
put metal on the map. Like I know there was a lot of metal bands, especially that generation. Like there's tons of them, but I just don't know that people really understood the like gravity and scale that Metallica had, and still
Absolutely.
has.
Still has.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into this genre too. And I'm not spoiling anything, but I'm just comparing it. When you look at
Okay.
like people that don't listen to that music, like still wear Metallica shirts, like it's
Absolutely.
and so I just, there's people that don't like basketball that know who Michael Jordan is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like, I think that speaks to like just how big they got. And Slipknot's probably pretty comparable. I just think that like generationally, you might lose people with Slipknot.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I think you have more of a chance of finding random people that know Metallica than Slipknot, but
I actually think that'll depend on age group though, because like Metallica, recognizing their impact for sure, most people can do, but Metallica as like liking them, younger generation isn't into Metallica, and so it's a lot harder to like find who would like which one.
Yeah,
because Metallica just like to my nephews love Metallica, but they just think of them as a rock band. They don't think of them as this heavy metal starting, this huge wave of thrash metal in the 80s. They're just like, oh yeah, that one rock band my grandpa likes. Yeah.
That's an interesting thing that like people would just look at them as like a rock band.
Yeah.
You listen to like some of the, like you have to think when did like Metallica's first album come out? I mean, we're like early 80s, right?
Yeah, it was like like the first few years of the 80s.
Yeah. And what they were doing was like unheard of.
Well, not unheard of. It was big, but like they weren't like the first thrash band or anything.
Right. You're right. No, I know they're not like the first, but they were the first to like
to get big, to get as big as they did.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah. It really was. It really was.
But like I thought of Metallica too when I was like, who's the go-to metal? It was like for me, it was Black Sabbath, Metallica, or Slipknot was my top three.
Dude, Black Sabbath is a good one.
I mean, Black Sabbath started it. It's hard to not call them the goats, Yeah.
To be completely honest, I didn't even think of them. But now that you're saying that, it's like that's incredible.
And like there's a quote from Rob Zombie where he said, I don't even know why any of us write guitar riffs. Black Sabbath wrote every cool riff that's ever been made. Yeah. That's the freaking truth, yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe like next week after I simmer on this a little bit, I'll like,
let's do a part two. A part two.
I'm gonna change my answer, and
it's so
maybe
funny.
It'll be Black Sabbath. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah,
so,
them or Poppy, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like Breaking Benjamin's like metal too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Stained. Yeah.
Stained.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, my mom's gonna be super happy you said that.
So. Does your mom like Stained?
Dude, my mom listens to all the like Tool and all that. Like that. I don't know what you even like. What do you even call that? Like I don't feel like it's metal. It's like hard rock, maybe.
I mean, we've all referred to it as butt rock, but like,
Butt rock.
but it is like hard rock, I guess. Like Stain, good
Yeah.
example, just hard rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chevelle, like my mom's like a
Chevelle,
big,
yeah.
Chevelle fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Let's see. Metalcore.
You're gonna go first on this one.
I'm gonna go first on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My definition of metalcore is not Lorna Shore and that.
Thank you.
garbage.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
All right. I get on Reddit, which I regret it every time I get on there.
Yeah, seriously, especially like metalcore Reddit.
Especially the metalcore subreddit. Dude. Like these people are like so
terrible.
Lost,
Yeah.
It's like
they're so lost.
okay, and we'll get into it. I don't know which one's worse though, either the pop punk one or metalcore.
They're
the pop
both
punk one's
just as
like,
bad.
Look
Yeah.
at this Halsey song. I'm like, this isn't pop punk. This is just
Uh-huh.
pop. Like it's okay. It's
Uh-huh.
okay that it's pop. It's not pop punk. Anyway,
Seriously.
this is how I feel about the metalcore subreddit, which is
Okay.
funny because their like icon is Converge, and I'm like, I guarantee you, like 90% of these people don't even know who Converge
Yeah.
is or whatever. But my definition of metalcore is metallic hardcore. It is
Okay.
like it's raw metal that has hardcore punk influence with like breakdowns. The vocals are not death metal-y, they're hardcore vocals. Yeah, it's not like super drop tune. It's not deathcore, you know.
Yeah.
It's also not like, I don't even know what you would say, like Pierce the Veil or Motionless in White R. It's not pop metal, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you call that stuff, right? So I'm talking true to the definition metalcore, and
Okay.
it's Earth Crisis.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah. I just think that their consistency
rules.
across their albums,
Mhm.
I think what they did in the scene, the way that they like actually bridged the gap of like, we're a metal influenced hardcore band, but we're
Yeah.
in the hardcore scene. They're like some of the first to really do that. Like we
Yeah.
talked with Kyle Fisher last week from No Innocent Victim, and he was saying that like if you listen to Agnostic Front, like they are some of the first to like introduce some metal riffs and things like that. Like that's cool, but they're still like a hardcore punk band. Like I think Earth Crisis might have been one of the first that truly could have been in either scene at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's literally what metalcore should be. And what's frustrating now is I feel like today, a lot of metalcore bands that even sound like Earth Crisis are just labeled as hardcore bands because of how
Yeah.
far off metalcore has gotten from
Absolutely.
what Earth Crisis or those bands were. So I just think that like they were loved from both scenes. They stood their ground on what they believed in. I mean, they have an EP called Vegan for the Animals. Like they're serious
Yes.
about that, you know, straight edge band, you know, just the epitome of both scenes, I think. And so I think they are the true definition and goat of metalcore. So
Great answer. Well, and like you mentioned, I believe, if I'm not incorrect, Earth Crisis introduced veganism to straight edge.
I
believe
so.
they were the
I think
first
they
to
might have-
do vegan straight
Yeah.
edge. Yeah.
I think they might
They're
have
the
been
best.
first.
I love Earth
Yeah.
Crisis. They're the
I
bomb.
do too. They're
Great
so
band.
good.
Yeah. Absolutely great band. My answer, funny enough, is Converge.
Okay.
I'm being dead serious. Converge is my
Yeah.
answer. And here's my reasoning. So like Kyle said so well, metalcore has become such a big term that encompasses all these styles that don't sound like each other. And it's very weird that we say, oh, Motionless in White is metalcore and also Earth Crisis. It's that's nuts that's like as big as the spectrum gets. But for the metalcore I like, which is more on mixing the intensity of metal and the chaos of hardcore, is what Converge started doing before anybody. And in the 90s, Converge hit the scene and everyone hated it because it just made no sense and it was crazy and it was people would get the crap beat out of them at shows because the band, you can't understand what they're saying. It's not like they don't have like sing-along anthems, but Converge inspired this entire half of the metalcore genre that I love and is the reason I love metalcore so much, because they also never stopped. Converge is still together. Converge is still playing shows and they're still nuts. When I was thinking of like OGs of metalcore, I like Killswitch Engage, but I was never like they're my favorite band. I was never that huge into them because it already got a little bit too like bro metal for me. Of like it's a lot of clean singing, which is fine, and a lot of like chugs and stuff. But Converge is nuts. And so that's the metalcore I enjoy. So Converge will always be the goats
Yeah.
for me for metalcore.
I mean, that's there. I feel like there's like maybe 4 or 5 bands that people really attribute to like the goats of metalcore, and it's usually
Absolutely.
Earth Crisis, Converge, Shai Hulud,
Totally.
and God, I know I'm missing some here, but I mean, Shai Hulud claims. I mean, Matt Fox, they claim that he's the one
They
who
claim to start the word metalcore.
birthed the terms of metalcore,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
My only issue with Shai Hulud is that like, and it's similar to Converge, right? Is I feel like the chaotic part kind of came after what metalcore like had already become like.
Yeah.
Like you're right. Like that was like another wave of metalcore, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to metalcore because I mean I freaking love like the later ones like Norma Jean that did it or the Cherry Evans,
Absolutely.
same guy,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I totally understand that part of it. I just like where Metallica was my goat for metal, the like clear progression to me of a mix between metal and hardcore is Earth Crisis.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you can hear the Metallica influence, but you can also hear like the Agnostic Front influence.
Yeah.
Too, right. So,
And that's what actually that's funny about metalcore is we talk about Convergent Earth Crisis. They were doing this before there was a word for metalcore, before there was a scene, and they were just kind of doing what they wanted, and it was to mix styles and be different, you know.
Yep.
And then became legends after that. So it's picking goats of metalcore is funny because I was thinking a lot of my favorite metalcore bands, but that doesn't mean they're like the goat. Like the Devil Wears Prada rules. Yeah. But they also have like how many terrible albums?
Yeah.
So,
no,
I don't know. Yeah.
I totally agree with that because like I don't feel like you have to like them to understand that they're the goat. I honestly don't really like Metallica that much. Like there's a few songs where I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and I appreciate what they did, and I do think they're the goat because like look at what they did for metal globally, right?
Yeah.
But like they're not my favorite metal bands. You know, like there's tons of metalcore that was cool that we grew up listening to in like the mid 2000s, but it's like none of those guys would be around if the two bands that we just mentioned didn't do what they did, right? So
you say you don't love Metallica, but like I know you have that lower back tattoo of the Metallica logo. It's like we've all seen it.
Did you know they were originally called Metallic, but every time the singer would say it, he'd be like Metallic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Good work. Good work.
All right. Thank you. If you guys don't listen to anything else, I hope you at least
that was it. That's it. That's the clip that's going viral.
You know what? I like when you're on here, Chris, because Trevor really just made fun of me for that. You at least
I thought it was great.
All right. Next up, and I think personally, this is going to be one of the hardest ones. I think this is a sleeper one that is going to be one of the hardest ones. Post-hardcore.
This is brutal.
So you start.
This was one of the hardest ones that took me the longest amount of time to figure out. But as controversial as this one is, I'm going to say Finch is the GOAT of post-hardcore. Because I feel like, you know, Finch didn't like start it or anything. And Finch has one good album and like two okay albums.
That's
but
such an interesting pick.
Finch was so mind-blowing when they started and so influential to, oh my gosh, how many bands. In fact, I was watching on YouTube for this last When We Were Young Fest, Rock Sound did a thing where they interviewed most of the big bands playing, and they asked them one question, they put it together as a compilation, and Jeremy McKinnon from A Day to Remember said that Finch is the reason I started my band. And I think constantly like Finch is such a great band for post-hardcore because I feel like they are the post-hardcore sound, like truly embodied. You know, it's so much kind of whiny emo singing and then really intense screamo influence screaming, great breakdowns, great melody. I feel like they balance it really, really well. And then they also, you know, they got a lot bigger than a lot of post-hardcore bands, especially, man, how many skateboard compilations did you ever see that had a Finch song on it? I swear they all had at least one. But yeah, Finch was my answer for this one.
Dude, that's kind of a wild pick. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, right, kind of out of pocket.
Finch. We've talked about it. Like What It Is to Burn is one of my all-time
best records ever made.
All-time favorite. It really is, dude. Like it really is.
It's perfect.
It is. And like I unfortunately didn't go see them when they were with Armor for Sleep. And I was super bummed.
Yeah.
But I told my wife, I was like, if we go to this, be prepared to see me cry when they play What It Is to Burn. Because like,
dude,
that album means a whole lot to me.
Oh yeah.
It's a good,
and it sucks because like they were like 17 and 18 when they wrote that, and they never wrote anything as good
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it is defeating knowing that what you did as a teenager
Oh yeah,
is
it
all that
killed
people
me.
want to hear. Yeah.
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 It killed me just even listening to those albums. It's like, what you did? You massacred my boy.
Exactly. Look how you massacred my boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the reason why I struggled, there's two reasons why I struggled with post-hardcore.
Okay.
Number one is, like, I think the sound has changed so much that, like,
Absolutely.
generationally, there's going to be a ton of argument around.
Absolutely.
Because you go from like, and this is my second point, is just how wide the range is, similar to metalcore, but I think in some ways it can even be like more wide.
Yeah.
Maybe. But you go from bands like Quicksand, like
Mhm.
OG post-hardcore, like, dude, their first album's like 1989 or something like that, right? Like
yeah.
1990.
Yeah. Quicksand's ancient, but they're still great.
Yeah. And then you go all the way through to like just some of the worst bands that people call post-hardcore. And I just
Sleeping with Sirens.
exactly, dude. It kills me. And it's the simplest like litmus test. Litmus
with an M.
litmus test.
Yeah.
Okay. For all these genres, like metalcore, that kind of mix, right? Metalcore, post-hardcore is like, when it's metalcore, I ask, where's the hardcore in this song? Like, where's the hardcore influence in this
Where's
song?
the core part of this? Yeah.
Exactly. If you can't have it, like, then it's not, right?
Yeah.
Like, same with post-hardcore. Like, cool, man. Where's the hardcore influence in it?
Seriously.
You know? And so the band that I picked, and the reason why, and I just had this big explanation. You're probably going to be like, okay, that doesn't make any sense with the band you picked.
Okay.
It's also, well, I'm not going to get to this part yet, but the band that I picked is Thrice.
Oh,
The
interesting.
reason why I picked it is as much as the breadth of post-hardcore genre bugs me.
Okay.
They're the only band that I feel like has ever done all the post-hardcore sounds right.
And they've done a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They started with like Identity Crisis and all that stuff. And
Artist in the Ambulance.
Artist in the Ambulance, that was like pure to the definition post-hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
They were incredible. And then when post-hardcore got a little more like dark, I guess, maybe a little more structured, Visu is my like favorite album from theirs.
Okay.
Which a lot of people like throw off. But even then, like, when post-hardcore kind of got considered maybe not as hardcore or heavy, like, dude, Beggars is incredible. And what's the one after that?
Could not tell you.
I can't remember what it's called, but I should know that. But even like their later stuff, like the last one, oh, dude, I'm having like a mini stroke. I can't remember any of their names.
That's okay.
But I just feel like you look at like the Alchemy Index, like Fire Breather was like heavy. Like they had songs that were like heavy. And then I don't know. I think they embodied everything that post-hardcore was throughout the years better than anyone else could have done. And so to me, that's why I would say they're the GOAT of that genre.
That's a great answer, especially because also Thrice has been around for so long, is so consistent and keeps putting out stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I remember listening to him as a kid, and my brother was like a decent musician or whatever. And he was like, yeah, it's crazy to see bands that would use like blues riffs in songs. And I just thought of like how like clever and talented Tepe was, right? Like, you know, that's the kind of stuff that makes you a GOAT, is when you're doing things that like haven't really been done. And I appreciated that, like, you know, Dustin Kensrue, a lot of those guys came from the hardcore scene too. Like Dustin Kensrue still like posts about, so like there is still hardcore influences, especially in their older albums, but their newer ones, I think, still embody like what it has become. The only other band that I think, and this is a personal choice, would have been Thursday. That would have been the only one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd have been the only one that I think would go up against them. So,
yeah,
but
Thursday did a lot for post-hardcore.
Absolutely,
I love it.
They still do.
They still do.
So
I freaking love Thursday.
All right, pop punk.
Oof. This is a brutal one.
Are you big?
You can start. You can go first.
Okay. Are you a big pop punk fan?
I am. I love pop punk.
Okay.
That not every band out there. I think there's some that are garbage, but like, I do love pop punk of all generations and move my camera. All generations and all times. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, I think I'm letting my bias in a little bit.
Okay.
Because I do think there's bigger bands. But there's more, I think, that goes into being the GOAT than just size.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say Newfound Glory
Okay.
because I think that I think the problem with some pop punk bands is they're like too poppy,
They are.
you know. And I think again, it's the same with all these other genres. I think they've missed where the like actual like meat of the genre came from. And I think Newfound
Yeah.
Glory, even though they might have had a couple stinkers and albums, I think most of them have stayed pretty true to this genre.
Yeah.
So,
Dang. Great answer. I love Newfound Glory.
me too.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
So funny story. I wrote Newfound Glory as well. I
Seriously?
dead serious did. We had another less than Jake moment. I chose Newfound Glory though for a different reason.
Okay.
When I was thinking of like OGs of pop punk, you're talking, arguably they always mention that Green Day is one of the first, if not, the first big pop punk. Blink-182 is really
Yeah.
big. But my problem with both of those bands is that they either abandon pop punk or they have garbage in their discography, and
Yep.
both bands have a lot of stinkers. But like, when I think of Newfound Glory, they are a band that's never abandoned the pop punk sound, the pop punk scene. They've always been like, oh yeah, we love this. We want to keep making this forever.
Yeah.
And they like kept it alive too. Pop punk is a funny genre because it lives and dies heavy on both sides. Where like there'll be a whole, style that's really big, or a few bands that all of a sudden everyone's trying to be like, and then in 3 years it's unheard of and no one cares anymore. Great example,
Right.
Man Overboard. But
Yeah.
Newfound Glory, like, they are so consistent and they are never going to go away. That so much of pop punk exists because of them. So yeah, I picked the same thing, and just
Cool.
because like when you think of pop punk, I think of Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great
So,
band.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were on the same page for that.
Same
one. And
page. I had some other ones in my running, but I was like, Newfound Glory's like the one.
so my other option would have been Blink.
Okay. I mean that
But I feel like I would have done that purely just off of like the size of Blink. Right.
yeah.
But it's like you're saying, like, I just don't feel like they necessarily have always embodied
No.
pop punk. Right.
Yeah.
So
I actually was also thinking about the Story So Far, because Story So Far literally has created 2010s pop punk. But like, it's hard to say they're as much of a goat as Newfound Glory is,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nah, it's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last one of like, I guess, alternative
Scene
type
bands.
music.
Yeah.
Scene bands.
Yeah.
This one, like, I did this one personally for you.
Thanks,
all right?
pal.
Because I know that you're a fan of like this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I am not particularly, have never
Yeah.
really been. I do have an opinion on it. So you can
Okay.
you can flame me all you want for it. But the genre is emo.
Yes.
So do you want me to go first then? And you can attack me with
Sure.
it?
I'm
I
excited.
don't think
yeah.
I'm that far
Now
off.
you
I
got me.
don't
Now
think
you
I'm-
got me concerned. What's
I really
be.
no,
Yeah.
I really don't think
Okay.
I'm that far off, but I'm gonna say
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I think that's taking the same route as kind of like Metallica. I just think that like I know that everyone that
It's
hears any
textbook.
music that
Yeah.
kind of screams or whatever is emo, but I don't feel like people understood that emo was a genre until they came around.
Yeah.
So
And talk about huge,
yeah, oh
My
absolutely.
Chem's humongous.
Yeah. I think it kind of kicked off the whole like scene stuff too. Like I don't know that I really saw a lot of people with like the hair covering the eyes and the
Eyeliner and
fingerless
skinny
gloves and
jeans,
yeah.
fingerless gloves, yeah.
So-
Studded belts. Yeah.
And as much as I'm like not or ever really have been a huge fan of emo, like the first couple My Chemical Romance albums were solid. Like
Absolutely.
it was good music. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a terrible take, right?
Sorry, I lost you there for just 1
All right.
second. Did you say something?
Yeah, I was just saying that's not like a terrible take.
No, not a terrible take at all. In fact, I think that would be most people's take of
Okay.
like the goat. Yeah.
I'm a man of the people. So
You're a man of the pee hole. This is true. So I of course thought about My Chem, but like I didn't put them because this is gonna be such a stupid scene kid answer, so get ready. When I was a teenager and an emo kid and very much obsessed with My Chemical Romance, they themselves hated the word emo. And so I never thought of them as emo. Like that's such a stupid.
what did
Yeah.
they say they were?
They were just like, oh, we're alternative, because we talked about this on the phone the other day. Back in the day, emo was not a nice term. Emo was an
Sure.
insult, and emo was not a well accepted thing.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever heard a band this is not who I wrote, but the first band I ever heard that accepted the word emo was Taking Back Sunday, because they were like all of their predator, or all of their people around them were just like, we hate that word, it's not us, and Taking Back Sunday is like, call us emo, like sure, why not, go for it. But the band I picked, I had to think. I thought long about this because what is the goat of emo? And I actually went with Silverstein as my answer because I feel like Silverstein. They could be post hardcore too. That's technically their style, but Silverstein really wasn't all about being a scene kid, but it was more creating better emo music than basically everybody. Like they actually come from the world of emotional hardcore. They were literal true emo if we want to get deep into that. But like Silverstein consistently stayed in the emo scene too.
Yeah.
Silverstein's never broken up. They're still putting out records all the time. They still will tour with freaking anybody. I swear anyone will go on tour with Silverstein. It's awesome to see. I love that. And Silverstein, a lot of like the foundations of emo music, like the ones everyone looks to, are Silverstein songs.
Right.
Like they have so many hits that were huge on MySpace and huge on people's when they would make burn CDs and stuff. So that's a big goat for me. And I also just am in love with Shane Told, their singer. So that just, it all comes together.
I'm not surprised you picked them. I guess I never really categorized
pal.
them as like emo. But
it's hard because emo is a lot harder to be like, who's the goat of it? Because like the biggest bands Hawthorne of it, Heights, you can also
Hawthorne Heights.
Hawthorne Heights is a great answer. Yeah.
Maybe I should have put a little more thought into that one.
By the way, on all the like since the pandemic, Hawthorne Heights has done a lot of touring, and they they have their Is for Lovers festival, and I've seen them a couple times, and it's so funny because the singer every single time goes on an at least 5-minute rant where he's like, guess what? It wasn't a phase, huh? This is who we are. Like, mom and dad, you don't understand. And it's like, buddy, I'm like 30. Just play, just play your music, song. Just play the song. Yeah, it's so funny, but he does it every time.
Some of the like elder emo stuff is funny, but I think there's some people that take it too serious too. It's like, no, it's meant to be a joke. It's meant
to be a joke. Absolutely.
So, but who am I to judge? I'm in my 30s still moshing and stuff.
You're the quintessential elder emo. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that was like, those were the ones that I kind of picked for some of the alternative music that we listen to. I think that's what most people are here for.
Yeah.
One thing though, is that we listen to a lot of other genres, and I don't know how much you listen to these other ones. We talked a little bit.
Just depends on the one. Yeah.
But I thought this would be funny. And actually, when me and Trevor were talking about doing this podcast, part of what we wanted to do, and I'm sure it'll come around sometime, is a perspective of other genres. Or no, sorry. Our opinions on other genres from the perspective of hardcore kids.
Okay.
Right? Because I think we live in a very unique bubble, microcosm of music. I make jokes to people that say if like my chances of getting hit by a chair at a concert are 0, then I don't want to go.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense to anyone else. So I think it's funny, like our perspective of other music.
Absolutely.
This weird bubble we live in. So,
and it's funny because looking at my answers for the next few, I've like, oh yeah, like a scene kid would pick all of these. So right, I think it makes sense. Yeah.
Good to know. So, all right, let's start with we're going to start with some of these weird ones. Now, this is one that like we joke about it, but like I actually do listen to a lot of country. So I don't listen to like pop stadium country. That's not, I like real, country that is, has meaning.
True country.
And stuff. Yeah. I try not to be like a snob about it, but like if Morgan Wallen raps in a song, I don't feel like that's country. Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you want, I can start with this.
I would love if you would
necessarily
start.
A huge country. I think people are going to expect this answer. Maybe I might catch hate for it, but there's no denying that Willie Nelson should always be considered a GOAT in
the redheaded stranger.
So yeah, just like there were other people that were talking about like Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, and it's like those guys were all like doing stuff with Willie too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I like if you say Willie, I think you kind of like semi include those guys, but like to me, just like Willie's uniqueness with his voice, because a lot of the country back then was like very gruff and like
Yeah.
tough guy vocals, But Willie was just Willie. He was unique, but he was country.
Absolutely.
He's known for smoking weed. Like that's just funny in a scene like country, right? So like,
yeah.
I live down in Texas now, and even people that you wouldn't expect like just gush over Willie. I think he's done a lot for country. The other reason why I'm going to say him is this big revival of country right now, which I've talked about before. A lot of it's due to him because I guess he got in trouble with the IRS, lost a bunch of money, kind of quit making music, but then wanted to get back into it. And he's helped a lot of this like red dirt country or outlaw country down here in Texas to like get started again. So a lot of these new bands like Sturgill Simpson, Coulter Wall, what's the Charlie Crockett? Like a lot of these guys actually got started by Willie. And to me, that embodies like goatness level, that he's not only like his music was great, but like what he has done for this scene and this revival puts him, I think, above a lot of people. So
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Dang, good work, dude.
Buddy is one of the greatest songs ever written.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, let's hear your non-country listener opinion.
Oh man, this was my hardest one for sure because I don't know much.
If you say freaking Garth Brooks, I'm gonna punch you. So
it's gonna be Garth Brooks. I'm just kidding. He's got friends in low places, No, I know so little about country, so this also will have not much explanation. But I went with Johnny Cash. I don't even know if he's considered country, but like that is who I think is a fun part of country because he was much more like depressed and angry and willing to sing about not how great life is. Yeah. And I think that's like an important part of all art and all music is that you need to experience art through all seasons, regardless of if it's usually one emotion or another. It's good to have a variety. And Johnny Cash offers that variety. Plus, like, he's so influential,
He freaking covered a Nine Inch Nails song. Like,
when he was like 100 years old. Yeah,
I know, awesome. Right? And it is
great.
I like it better than the original.
I do too. The original's not that good, but his is so good.
I was waiting for you to get mad at me for that, but I'm glad you didn't.
No, I'm not huge into the Nine Inch Nails, so like I like his cover much better.
Yeah. So no, that's a great call. I feel the same way about country music, that like original country was like you could have read country lyrics from like the 60s and then read punk lyrics from the 90s and they would have come off the same.
Absolutely.
And now it's like I feel like country is just a freaking joke. If you do you listen to Bo Burnham? Have you heard his song where he makes okay. It's incredible. But that's how I feel about modern country.
Literally.
It pisses me off. So
yeah. But there's good stuff. Modern country is interesting for sure.
Yeah. So all right. Next one up, pop. Yeah. Are you a pop head?
I don't like traditional pop music, but I do like some pop music for sure.
Explain that then. What do you mean?
Okay, so like if you're talking pop princesses like Katy Perry or like stuff like that, well, I'm not into that much. Like I think it's fine. I know the music because I hear it all the time. Yeah. But like I like pop music that's not as popular, but it's of a pop style, or it's more interesting, or just really. But that's hard to explain. Yeah, but like
fine.
Yeah.
So
my
does
goat
that
for
make
this
your
one,
goat option super random then?
Katy Perry. Not super random, but also not super normal.
Okay.
My goat for pop music is Bjork. Because Bjork is not only one of my biggest like inspirations and heroes ever. I worship the ground Bjork walks on. But Bjork made pop music weird in the best way. Like Bjork was doing experimental music on a mainstream level that kind of nobody had ever done. And it's to this day, it's still good and badly received because she is weird and it is strange and it does not sound normal, but it is like fun pop music. And she continues to make some of the craziest, weirdest, funnest, most beautiful music in the world. And I think she's just such a talented artist. Like we're talking about, country music in the 60s is how I kind of feel about Bjork in like the 90s and 2000s of pushing the envelope so much, because in the 90s and 2000s is really where you had Britney and Christina and Pink and Gwen Stefani, and then you have this weirdo who wears a swan as a dress and talks about how the tree's bark is like their skin, and it's like she's so weird, and I think she's perfect in every way.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bjork is my favorite.
That okay. I think it's a
Yeah.
great answer. It's a great
Yeah,
answer.
it was not a normal one. I knew that one was not going to be
That
yours for
was,
sure.
was off the rails, man. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Great. And
Yeah.
I think your explanation of it is awesome. I just
Thank you.
like my wife.
Most people don't
actually-
think of her as like a pop genius, but I think she
but,
is.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine. So my pick, and whatever, is Taylor Swift.
Okay.
So 2 reasons. Number one,
Okay.
my wife actually threatened to stab me if I didn't say
Yes.
Taylor Swift. So
Yes.
the other thing
She's
is
here on the
like-
call right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, and you can't see her, but she's like,
There's a
holding
knife. Yeah.
But in all honesty, man, like you can't deny what she's done.
You cannot.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
She's boosting states and countries' economies when she
Just by
tours
going.
there.
Yeah.
Just by going there. So it's, I mean, whether you hate her or love her, like you just can't deny it. Like you can't deny it. So
Yeah.
she's not my favorite pop artist. Like, there's like some really cool pop too that's coming out that's like not bad. Like Teddy Swims is really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
But I, like, dude, I grew up in Britney era. Like,
Yeah.
outside of Taylor Swift, the obvious answer, like my personal answer is Britney, just because like she's the only pop artist that I think I can sing more than like 1 or 2 songs to.
Right. Yeah.
So, but she kind of embodied a lot of what pop was as well.
Absolutely.
Just like, the craziness, all the
Yep.
drama, like
Beautiful.
all the news articles and everything. Like that was,
Beautiful.
it was pinnacle.
It was incredible.
Popness, so yeah.
No, the thing that was hard with this one is pop's huge. Pop's
It
been
is
around.
huge.
Literally, popular music as a term has been around since the 20s. So
Yeah.
it's a tough question.
I know. And see, the thing I had too with talking about this with my wife is
Yeah.
how do you, and this will lead into the next one.
Okay.
How do you categorize Michael Jackson?
That is a great question because he was known as the king of pop.
Because if
But,
you're going to categorize him
is
as
he?
pop, I might actually put him over Taylor Swift, honestly.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
And the reason why is because what Taylor Swift has done is incredible, but she's done it in the streaming era.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson did ridiculous things when people had to physically go places to buy physical things.
Yep.
The internet categorizes Michael as R&B. And so that's
interesting.
And
I'm in
R&B
parts
is
of
my
his career
next
for
one.
sure.
R&B
Okay.
is my next one. And so just based off of how the general population categorizes R&B, I'm going to put Michael. But if we're going to categorize him as pop, then I like he would be the GOAT for pop for me. So that's where like, I don't know,
It's
this
tough,
is where
though.
like genre policing kind of gets weird.
Absolutely.
I just don't think you can deny what Michael did. So
Agreed.
plus he's still
Yeah.
alive. If you've heard all the Diddy rumors and conspiracies, Michael's still alive. He faked his death to get out of Diddy's grasp,
Yeah.
which shouldn't be hard with all the lube, but Michael's still alive.
So slippery.
Exactly.
So you can't get a hand on him. It's so
I know.
crazy. You kill me. That is so funny.
So, all right, who did you? Okay, so how do you categorize R&B then? Like, what's
R&B,
Yeah.
I'm not an R&B guy.
You're not
I'm
an
not
R&B
the
guy.
one to ask because like I just know because when I was looking up R&B artists, I was also like, isn't this like a pop group or aren't they hip hop?
I
Like
know.
I struggled.
But don't sit here. Hold on. Don't
Okay.
sit here and look at me in the eyes and admit that you did not listen to like Destiny's Child.
Oh, of course, Destiny's
you?
Child's
Okay.
amazing.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's
for
R&B,
me,
right? I mean,
absolutely, I think they
Usher,
are.
dude, I used to like try to mimic Usher's dance moves.
You still do.
I
Yeah.
still do.
You had that whole Super Bowl
I
performance
still
down.
do the like Neo hat flip. You know? I'm trying-
When I was thinking of the GOAT of R&B for the R&B I like, I immediately went to Lauryn Hill and her work with the Fugees as well because
Okay.
I think
The Fugees,
I think-
yeah.
I think her voice is not only just incredible, she's an incredible singer, but like was quintessential R&B. There's like that incredible rasp to it slightly, and it works so well with the tones that Fugees would do. And that song "Killing Me Softly," they just like that, in my opinion, is like one of the best R&B songs ever written
Yeah.
because it's so catchy, it's so moody. And when I think of R&B, I think of like moody. I think it kind of
Yeah.
like it's all over the place mood wise. But also just her solo stuff. The record, "The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill," is known as one of the best albums of all time, especially for R&B. So I really love her, and
Cool.
I think she's incredible at it. But yeah, like
Yeah.
Destiny's Child, Usher, TLC. It was tough to pick
TLC.
this one.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
My wife was saying that. She's like, "How do you not pick TLC?" So,
I love TLC.
but
That's all my sisters listened to growing up. It was the bomb.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, hip hop / rap. We talked a little bit about this
Yeah.
before. If people want to fight us on the definitions, whatever. We're gonna combine them just for the sake of this.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. All right, whatever. Who do you have for this?
Mine is
and
my
do
most
you
controversial.
Do you listen to this?
Yes.
Okay.
But mine is the most controversial of all of my answers. Because
Interesting.
you're going to for sure go, ugh. So get ready. In
Fair
my
enough.
opinion, and in my world, and of the music I enjoy, the GOAT of rap and hip hop is Lil Peep.
Little Peep.
Lil Peep, rest in peace, he's dead. But but hear me out. This is my hear me out cake. Hear me out. Lil Peep was he took you are killing me, Kyle.
Okay. All right.
Lil Peep was able to marry the world of rap music with the depressing world of emo, in the 2010s. And all of the sudden, rappers came out of the freaking woodwork and everyone had a SoundCloud all of a sudden. But they all tend to credit Lil Peep as like, he was like the first, and he was also one of the first rappers to get like, not to be that guy, but also like white rappers to get face tattoos because he always had the assumption, I can't get another job. I have to make this my only job. So he would get just crazy stuff tattooed on his face. And a lot of rap that's big right now, Juice WRLD, for example, I mean, he's dead too. But I mean, a lot of them are dead. But the Lil Peep is who started that style and who sort of bridged that gap. But I'm not good at this because the kind of rap music I like is not normal. And so
Yeah.
that's why my answer was not Snoop
Okay.
Dogg or Eminem.
That's why.
Now I'm excited to hear yours.
I mean, mine's boring and stupid. Like, I don't. First of all, I would never accredit Lil Peep to anything, but I mean, my answer doesn't really matter. That was awesome. My answer though is Tupac.
Okay.
I just think that like that whole generation, I think, I mean, the generation before him and stuff with hip hop and rap, like, dealt with issues, sang about real stuff, which is why I can't ever get into modern rap too. Cause I think it's all just it's
very
a ploy
different
for money and it's
very
fake,
different.
just like modern country, right? It's just commercialized. And I think that Tupac and that generation, but Tupac specifically, like the way that he, like his cadence in his songs, I heard somebody describe it very, like in a really interesting way. I haven't thought about it enough to like really have much of an opinion, but I thought this was interesting that he said his cadence was like almost like Martin Luther King preaching.
Okay.
Like the way Tupac rapped and the things he said and like his cadence and the music behind it, like you do kind of get this like preachy, like kind of real raw feel that like when I listened to him, I always felt like the real emotion behind his songs.
Okay.
And so I think that like, I mean, they also, that whole generation as well, kind of put hip hop and rap on the map of like all the beef, the East Coast, West Coast, like that's still played out today. Like, this whole idea of movies like Bad Boys and like, I just think that like his music and that generation just totally inspired like this whole culture of media, And so I think a lot of that ties down to him and like what he did. And, it's funny that like all of our rap goats are dead, but that's not funny. That's terrible.
It's terrible, but it's the truth, right?
Right. And it sucks. And I think that cements him even more as the GOAT.
Yes.
Right? Like,
I feel like that does something to a legacy. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I actually like, I like rap and hip hop. I do not like, and it's the same way with country, and I'm the same way with all music. Is if it feels genuine and raw and real, then I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't care about the genre. Modern rap to me is not cool.
Yeah.
There's a few exceptions. There's a record label out of Minnesota called Rhyme Sayers. If you
Okay.
listen to rap at all, people know him, but like Aesop Rock is on there.
Okay.
This guy POS who has,
POS.
yeah, but he toured with Under Oath, dude. And like,
Oh,
you know
okay.
the guitar intro to the one that's like, oh, no, it's like, nah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So he overlays that in one of his rap songs.
Okay.
It's tight. And I saw
Yeah.
him and stuff, but like that, like, and they're really cool because it's like underground, right? It's like underground hip hop, underground rap, and
Right.
I'm down with that. So
Right.
I do listen to rap and hip hop quite a bit. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Same, but it's not like the styles everyone like that's really big right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not like listening to
Yeah.
Travis Scott and like trampling
Yeah.
people at shows.
In fact,
So.
just this yikes. Just this last week, I have a 15-year-old nephew that really likes rap music. And I was talking about the rap I like, and here's some of the rap he likes. So he made me a playlist. And it was very nice. It was adorable, but it was a lot of like Drake, Travis Scott, ASAP Rocky, and I listened to the whole thing because I love him. But it was like, this is definitely different than like what I enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
the same. I did not get on like the Lil Wayne.
Yeah, it was never my thing.
bandwagon.
Yeah.
Never got onto all the like big bass drop rap. Like,
Yeah.
like Wu-Tang. I'll listen to me some Wu-Tang.
Nice.
Like Common. I think Common sweet, but that I don't know. I guess you'd call that. He kind of mixes a little bit with R&B sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay, we're like going over a little bit, but here's an interesting one. Rock.
Okay.
Just rock.
This was so hard.
Right?
This was so hard.
So I'm tied between I'm torn between two, but I'm leaning more towards Led Zeppelin.
Oh, great answer.
I just think they embodied
Great
everything
answer.
that rock was. You
Yeah.
know? Cool riffs, awesome vocals, interesting songs. Like, I think musically they were better than a lot of bands.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So
the talent's there for sure.
Yeah. I just think that like now I was kind of torn between them and the Rolling Stones. And
okay.
The Rolling Stones, the reason why is, and I said this about metalcore, or not metalcore, metal with Metallica, is even people that don't listen to the Rolling Stones,
they
like
know the Rolling Stones.
Or exactly. And so
absolutely.
But I just think from like an actual musical like definition of this, I think Led Zeppelin is the epitome of rock music.
For sure.
So
dang, great answer. Man, this was such a toughie because I thought about this one for like a day solid because I think there's so many ways to think about it. But what my answer was, I was thinking what band, when I think of rock music, not even just the music, but like a rock lifestyle, who represents what rock is? And my answer isn't as typical, but I immediately thought of Iggy Pop and the Stooges. And hear me out for this, because the Stooges music was fine. Iggy Pop's music is fine. It's all fine. But what they did as musicians was so interesting and fresh, because Iggy Pop was the first artist to jump off the stage and to go nuts. And he would beat himself up on stage, and he would, people would bring jars of peanut butter and he would rub it all over himself while singing. And like he created this slight sense of danger to rock and roll. It really wasn't there before. Rock music in the 50s, 60s, early 70s, it was different. It was a much more like you show up, you play the show, the sound's horrible, people are screaming, and then you leave. But then Iggy Pop, with the sort of, like, they call them proto-punk, but like the bands that were punk before punk was punk, it was like, no, you're gonna come to a show, you're gonna headbang, you're gonna push someone, and you're gonna like have fun, and you're gonna get crazy. And so I think that really set from there on what rock music then was looked at, because then you have the huge bands like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, bands like that also loved a sort of excitement and danger to their music, and they love crowd participation, and Iggy was sort of the first to encourage that. And talk about shockingly still alive. Iggy Pop is still alive. Him and Ozzy Osbourne and Mick Jagger have a curse with the devil.
Seriously.
Where they are living in the most horrible looking bodies.
Weekend at Bernie's going on.
It totally could be.
Puppet.
They're strung up and they're puppets at this point.
Maybe Metallica puppeteer.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. The Master of Puppets is Iggy Pop.
I tried. It didn't land, but
it's okay. You tried your best. you had your metallic joke, and that is like that worked better than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Iggy's that's a good choice, dude. Because it's true, like
it's a tough one. It's a tough
but rock
question.
You're right though, like rock is so much more than just music, you know.
Yeah, rock is it's so big too.
Yeah, it was this like idea of being a rock star, like
absolutely.
Like it took music and fame and that culture to a whole nother level, you know. And I can see where you're getting Iggy. I think that's a good call. So and honestly, like this is why I wanted to do this with you, man, is that like you have such a different perspective. My answers felt a little vanilla. Yours were actual like interesting and had a lot of story, but that's what's fun about this, right? Is because I think
that is what's fun about it. Because you had stuff I didn't think of.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, I don't know how we got two answers the same, which is interesting because of how many like options there are. So,
and it's funny because it's two genres you and I don't really talk about that much. Right? That's what's so funny. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I got one last question for you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
What is your all-time GOAT band? What is your GOAT in general out of everything?
Like the greatest band of all time.
Yeah.
The Cure. I think The Cure is the greatest band that's ever lived. The Cure not only changed music, but they have like, there's so many bands where like, oh man, do you have like, if they got 3 perfect albums, that's crazy. The first 8 albums by The Cure don't have a bad song on them. And to this day, I saw The Cure last year. Robert Smith is in his almost 70s and they played a 3-hour set and it was incredible. So I think The Cure is not only the best band ever, but like continues to be the best band ever.
Cool.
What's your answer?
So, I mean, Thrice is my all-time.
Okay, yeah.
Band. I think Thrice is one of the greatest, if not the greatest band to ever. Yeah. I just think musically, I think lyrically, I think like I've made the joke that like if Dustin Kensrue could fart in a cannon, I'd listen to it. Like I just
absolutely,
dude. Yeah. Everything he touches is gold. Like musically, they just like everything is so good. The creativity around like the Alchemy Index.
Yeah.
Like it was genius. Like you made albums around like elements, like, and it worked, dude. Like it actually worked. Like you could put a song on right now and I'd be like, yep, I know that's the Earth album. Like, not just because I know the song, but like, just because of the way it sounds.
Yeah.
I think that we talk a lot about this on the podcast of bands that have changed their sound. Yeah. It usually doesn't work. And like, I know there's people that don't like some of Thrice's later albums, but I think they're gold, man. I think they're so good. So like Palms, that was the 2 albums ago. Like that album was so good. There's songs on there that I was like, dude, this could be a Cure. Like there's one song that reminds me of a Cure album.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, I don't know that a lot of bands could go from writing Paper Tigers to a song that sounds like The Cure to a song that sounds like, like Gypsies playing in wherever. Like it's just they're like range and stuff. I don't know. I'll fanboy about them for the rest of the night, but yeah, that's to me personally. I think it's
a great answer.
There you go.
Yeah, Thrice rules. It's a great answer.
Yeah, but cool, man. This was interesting.
This is a great conversation.
It was a great conversation. I'll be interested to see if we catch some hate for this. We'll see if Trevor even posts it. Trevor might listen to it and be like, "Oh, you guys,
I'm not doing this." Yeah, he's like, "Little Peep, are you serious? This isn't happening." Yeah,
I'll be surprised if he makes it that far after the Metallica thing. He might just be like, "Delete." Nope, that's never.
20 minutes in, he's like, I can't do this anymore." Yeah.
So, but this was a ton of fun, man.
This is great.
It's a cool perspective on music, and that's just what's so cool about it, right? Is like
absolutely
outside of the two, like. I think people will generally overlap on a couple, but for the most part, you're going to have different answers for
all kinds of answers,
everything. And that's fun. That's fun.
Absolutely.
They're wrong, but they're fun. So.
And that's the thing about opinions. Everyone has them and they stink.
Yeah. Yep. So cool, man. Well, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it.
Of course, dude.
Let us know when that song drops. We will share it. It's Halloween, so I guess it's in a couple days. We'll make sure to share it. But
Yep.
you are always welcome on the pod, dude. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
dude.
So
Happy to be here.
we will call it. So I'll see you later.
See you later, man.